Okay guys, welcome back. Dr. H here on behalf of Octo Media, and in this final basic orientation tutorial for Maya, I'm going to show you how to take objects that you have created in Maya and how to put them into other programs like, for example, Unity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Maya. You can see here I've had a little play around with this flesh flower. Texture looks a little bit better than it did here, and in a later tutorial I'll show you exactly how I've done that. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this object out of Maya and put it in to Unity so that I can use it here. And before I do that, I'm just very quickly going to add a little bit of animation to this object down here. I'm just going to set a keyframe at 1 and at, I don't know, 72. And I'm going to make the object, I'm going to make the object kind of pulsate like that. So set that keyframe in squish and then pull it back down like that. Set that keyframe there, just so what it's doing over time is it's doing this kind of pulsing motion over 72 frames. So the reason I've done that is because when you export things out of Maya into Unity, there are some settings that's very important to observe. Otherwise, interesting things that you've done, like textures and animations, might not go over into Unity. So I'm going to select my object. I'm going to go up to File. Here I'm going to show you two ways to do it. So I'm working with Unity, so I could just send to Unity, send directly to Unity, and that's the first way I'm going to do it. I could also export this object, which I'm going to show you how to do in a second as well. So I'm going to send to Unity. I'm just going to, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the Unity project so it knows which Unity project to send this to. I'm going to make sure I go to the wizard's robe down here, select that, and that is the Unity project that this is going to get sent to. Now I've set that project, send to Unity, set the Unity project. I'm just going to send the selection. I don't want to send everything in my scene, just the thing that's highlighted, which is the flesh flower here. So click on that, and it brings up this box. There's quite a lot of important stuff in this box. So first of all, the pathway. The pathway should be set by the fact that I've set the project. It's going into the Wizard's Robe Assets folder, which means it should appear straight down here in my Assets folder for use. There are a couple of things that's important to remember when exporting things out of Maya into Unity. The first one is the include options down here. So if you've added any animation, it's important to make sure that the animation is checked here. Otherwise it won't export it out. So here it is going to export it out, and I'll get the option to animate it or to use that same animation in Unity. It's also important, if you want the textures to come, that you make sure you've clicked embed media. If you don't click embed media, then it won't send the texture file across with it. So the final thing I do is I need to give it a name. I'm going to call it flesh flower, and I'm going to export my selection. Now, if I go across into Unity, what I should see is an asset is being imported, and then if I go into my assets folder down here, I can see I've got the flesh flower with its various constituent parts, and crucially, I've got the animation of the flesh flower here. If I just bring this up and push play, you can see it's kept the animation that I animated in Maya a moment ago. Now this particular animation is really simple and straightforward. I could have done the same thing in Unity, but if you've got much more complex animations like walk cycles, anything that you've done with rigging, you have to make sure that you bring the animation across with you. So if I drag my flesh flower into my scene here, roll back a little bit and put it next to my door, lift it up like so. What we can see if we play the game, I haven't enabled the animations on the object, so it shouldn't be moving, is that the object is in my scene. As I said, the object isn't moving because I haven't enabled the animations, but the fact that the animations, just skip out of this, lovely ceiling, isn't it? The fact that the animations have come along with the object here means that I could enable them if I wanted to, and in a later Unity tutorial, I'll show you how to do that. So that's one way. If I'm working on the same computer with the same computer that's got Maya and Unity on it, I can just send it directly to the project that I'm working with. However, let's say I've been modeling something at home that I want to use at work, school. What I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to export it. So before we take our object anywhere, it's very important that we go Edit, Delete All by Type, History. And I'll show you why. I mean, I know this looks hideous, but just for the purposes of argument here, join these two together. Now I'm ready to export this out as one object. So I'm going to go Send to Unity, just what I've got selected, and I'm going to call this Abstract. not because I can't spell. Abstract. Go across to Unity. Here's abstract, like so. Bring it up into my scene. If I just frame in on it. So here's an interesting thing. If I take a look at this in the hierarchy over here, and I tab down, you'll see it's still got all of my original transform data in there. This is what happens if you don't clean up your history. This is the history of me deforming the object. And you can see that same history, if I bring the outliner up, you can see the same history here in Maya. Transform 3, Transform 4, P cube 7, P cube 8. Go back to Unity, we've got P cube 7, P cube 8, Transform 3, Transform 4. That's generally very confusing. I mean, I know we've got an abstract object here, but if this thing had arms and legs and an animator wanted to move them and they needed to know what they were doing, having all this random stuff in here is going to make a real mess when all I want is the one object. So the way you get rid of that is you go back into Maya, select the object, going to go Edit, Delete All by Type, History. And as soon as you do, all those things, all those other transform data there, they've gone. So what I do now is I can export this, I can send this to Unity like so, just the selection. I'm going to call this abstract clean, and I'm going to put it side by side with the other one in Unity, and we'll see the difference. So this is abstract clean, put it side by side, bring it up, frame on them both. You'll notice that abstract clean is one object here. You can't do a drop down on it. It doesn't have any of this other geometry. Abstract, well, it does. It has all this messy stuff. So always, before you export a model, go Edit, Delete All by Type, History. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to export an object if you don't have Maya and Unity on the same computer. For example, if you're modeling something at home, you want to take it into work, take it into school, and work on it there. It's really straightforward. There's my box. I go File. Instead of these options here, you can send to Unreal as well if you're working with the Unreal Engine. I'm going to export selection, and I get the same sort of basic options here. The most important thing to change is the file type. Maya binary files are whole project files for Maya. We don't really want that. What we want is we want either an FBX export, which is the proprietary Autodesk model export, or an OBJ. Either of these will work fine. I'm going to use FBX because you get more options with it. OBJ works fine too, but I'm going to use FBX. So with FBX, I get these same options here that I was getting before. If I've got animation, I can keep the animation with the object. If I've got a media on the object, textures, then I can keep the texture on the object. And I'm just going to call this Loot Crate Hate. I'm going to put it on the desktop like so. If I now export it to the desktop, bring up my desktop, I can see I've got lootcratehate.fbx. It's a file. Obviously, you can't preview it with this. And that is the file that I would take with me into work. That's the file I put on my USB stick, and that's the file that I would ultimately drop into a Maya or Unity project. It works with both. I'll just quickly show you. I drag that FBX file into Unity down here. Then what I've got is an asset for Loot Crate Hate. Drag it in my scene. Head up, frame on it, and there we go. That's kind of fun, isn't it? So that's how you export finished models from Maya and how you embed the media, the texture files and materials, and the animation within the object. Don't forget to clean up your history before you do. I've been Dr. H. Thank you very much for following this animation and modeling tutorial series for beginners in Maya 2018. As always, do please hit subscribe for more videos, and thank you very much for watching.